What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of September 27th through October 3rd, 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Thanks so much for being here with me. I truly appreciate you all so much. I hope that you're doing well in these very retrograde times. It's retrotropolis out there. I mean, this is wild. It's very rare that you get 6 planets retrograde at the same time, and it's not even that they're just retrograde. I mean, we're talking stationed. Like, things are hitting the brakes and slowing down. Mercury's going very slow. It was last week, and it's going slow this week, of course, now that it's in that retrograde motion from the Earth's point of view. It's going to be squaring Pluto all week once again. So 2 weeks of Mercury square Pluto with a Mercury retrograde. It's a total transformation of our minds. It's a total, reintegration of how we think about relationships, how we think about ourselves, and how we relate that to other people. A lot of this week is about your self-integration with the world, with society, with people. And it's no coincidence we got that, long drawn out 2-week square to Pluto, which of course we'll get another one at the end of October. But wow. But that'll be, of course, with both Pluto and Mercury direct. But I mean, think about it. Like, Pluto goes direct October 6th. It is hitting the brakes. Saturn is on the 10th. Hitting the brakes. Jupiter's the 17th, I believe. Hitting the brakes. And Jupiter and Mercury will both turn direct on the 17th, by the way. So very fascinating that both those planets will turn direct too, as this 2-week period with Mercury square Pluto has also been with Mercury trine Jupiter in Aquarius, both in air signs. I mean, everything right now is about the people. It's about the connections in your life. And with Venus, of course, here in Scorpio, it's about getting to the very bottom of these connections, of the people, of your heart. We have to have boundaries. We have to find out that deep well of what we desire in another and what we want to attract in for ourselves. It comes through the integration of ourselves, but it also comes through the acceptance of times where we might feel powerless, which is interesting to think about in this time just on Earth and as humans. There's a sense and a narrative out there, I should even say, or a story that we don't have power. So we're having to really dive deep within ourselves through this integration to find that power and that beauty that we can relate with others, that we can get to the bottom of. It's really teaching us how to work through manipulation, especially with Mercury square Pluto. Like, it's very easy to kind of like see where the manipulation is taking place on a personal level or on a world scale or society scale. Like, it's very easy if you're willing to look at the facts and look at the truth that has presented itself, which, of course, some people don't want to see that stuff. And I think it's important to remember that everybody's exactly where they're meant to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be right now. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be right now. Anybody else in this world is exactly karmically where they're meant to be at this moment in time for whatever the purpose of the higher, the higher algorithm of life is putting us through. So we're all navigating that. And I think the integration point keeps coming up because, gosh, with so many slow energies, like, we can feel a little sluggish. We could feel a little slow. We could feel like we have to take some breaks. Like, we have to come back into ourselves. Retrograde planets are a great opportunity for us to come back into really the depths of our own self and reevaluate all these different energies, whether it's relationships with Mercury in Libra or whether it's Pluto in Capricorn, which we've had a retrograde there every year since 2008. But this one's important because we're coming up on the end of Capricorn, which is high stress, like a high level of commitment that we have to ourselves, that we have to reaching a higher pinnacle and a higher growth and evolution. Also, of figuring out what is the hierarchy of life. And does that hierarchy fit anymore? We're going to see a Pluto return for the United States. Is that system going to continue? The one that we've all grown up in, the one that we've all known our entire lives? I don't think it is. I'll be honest. I think that we're revolutionizing where the future is heading. And that's so much about the Aquarius energy as we look at the retrogrades there with Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn hasn't been in Aquarius and retrograded a full stay. Of course, it did last year touch into Aquarius and retrograde back into Capricorn to finish that out. But this was the first full retrograde since 91. So that was a long, 29-year period that is in a sense like coming to this point of moving forward again, where we've had to connect a lot of dots when it comes to people, connections, what's fair. And this Libra season is bringing that out too, because Aquarius, just like Libra, it wants to come to a sense of a win for humanity. It wants to progress humanity in a way that's best for everybody, and not just for one side or the other side. It wants to connect all the dots. But through the connecting of dots, we realize that we're also going through karma about disconnecting from Saturn, systems, governments, what isn't progressing forward or what doesn't make the most sense any longer. It's very smart. So we're all getting a higher mind sort of upgrade about where this frequency of life is taking us. And we look at Jupiter. Jupiter did come into Pisces for a little bit this year and retrograde back into Aquarius. So this is this final stand of Jupiter in Aquarius too that's really blowing up. A lot of it has to do with Saturn stuff, because Saturn is in Aquarius too, and Saturn is a co-ruler of Aquarius. So we're seeing Saturn kind of use Jupiter's magnifying glass, if you will, or amplifier. It's like Jupiter, Saturn just got plugged into a very strong amplifier, and so now restriction and control and power moves, and the government is going to start to make some of the biggest plays, and especially with all these planets retrograde this week, where, people are a little vulnerable going through their own inner integrations, their own inner transformations, where our own reevaluation of our place in this society or in your personal life right now. Very strange. It's strange probably isn't the best word, but it's very interesting, and I think we want to be very aware. And I think one of the most beautiful things about this week is Venus is going to make some really nice aspects from Scorpio to, of course, a trine with Neptune. And I think that your intuition and your gut is going to show you the best connections, the best places to attach our energy, where we need to disconnect or detach our energy, where we're getting equal merger of power in life. And it's going to come through our gut. It's going to come through psychically. I mean, these are very psychic signs. We look at Neptune in Pisces and Venus in Scorpio. I mean, this is fixed water, immutable water. This is like the universe is going to show you exactly what you do ultimately need to have everything you want. But you have to listen to that, and you have to look through deception. We don't want to put rose-colored glasses on and just be like, oh, I'll just do whatever I'm told. We got Jupiter in Helio too, and this is interesting. In Helio, Jupiter is locked into Pisces yet. We haven't seen that yet. And Neptune, of course, is in there too. Mercury is going to spend the duration of this week in Pisces as well. It's going to start with Jupiter and come all the way to Neptune. We have to be able to see through deception. We have to be able to trust our psychic senses of the boundaries that we need to set in life, our own emotional sovereignty, what's going to attract in the goodness. We have to be we have to be keen with our emotions as we're going through this integration. And I think that that's where this week is beautiful, because if you can trust your inner knowing, your spiritual wisdom, and that God has a plan that's going to bring physical form into what you need, things are going to go a lot better. But if you're going to stress out and think that you have full control or full power at every given moment in society or in the world this week, or that you just have it all completely logically understood with a Mercury retrograde, well, guess what? We don't. We have to just be in the flow. And the flow is where the beauty's at. And the flow is what's going to really help us cut through to the bottom of what is just in life, what is fair, what is equal, what is beautiful, what is harmonious. in these times. And we'll see Mercury come back and get close to a quincunx to that Neptune as well. So it's a very strange time for the mind, although it's with Jupiter the whole time. So there is this expanse of what we're learning about ourselves that is so important. And if we can trust that emotional guidance that's coming through and showing us karmically, because we're dealing with a lot of Saturn aspects this week too, with the Sun trine Saturn, with Mars coming off a trine to Saturn, about our direction in life and about, mission oriented stuff. And there is a karma aspect, especially with so many retrogrades, and like we're putting the cherry on top of how we're going to integrate and move forward for the rest of this year and into next year too. This is a very important week to really hone in on how you're truly feeling and your ultimate truth, and to trust that even if things don't show up exactly as planned with people or society or governments or jobs, that it's trying to show or clear or get you out of what isn't progressing you forward with the deeper connection or the right connections that are best for you in this moment. It's the most beautiful part. And there's definitely a sense of creative ability, being able to manifest, with Venus being our physical, sort of senses, our physical love of self, love of other people, and Neptune. I mean, these are both our lower heart and our higher heart in a lot of ways. I look at Neptune as a higher octave of Venus. So it's big upgrades, but it's through the subtle. It's through exactly how you're feeling and the emotions that are tied to what does show up in the physical. And if it's telling you to let go and trust in the universe and a bigger plan and something that's undefined with Neptune, or if we're going to keep kind of trying to push and define something that isn't showing up in a beautiful and harmonious way. So we have to be, a little accepting of, again, it's all about this integration point of where we're going, and accept that for what it is and be able to pivot. We still have the North Node in Gemini. Like, we still want to be curious. We don't want to have it just think we're the guru yet. We're not, we still have the South Node in Sag for the rest of this year. We still have to be curious and look for exciting different pivots and ways and connections and communications, and, truth is a big part of it too. Like, we have to keep being on this investigation for truth. And Mercury square Pluto, it wants to investigate what is true and just, and what is going to bring that beauty and harmony in. And Jupiter's got the backup for it with that drawn out trine as well. We're also going to see Venus sextile over to Jupiter in Aquarius. I'm sorry, it's going to square Jupiter. It's going to sextile Pluto in Capricorn. My apologies. I like Venus and Jupiter in square. The two benefics looking at each other dead in the eye from above us. Like, it comes through our relationships and how important they are. And it's about showing us different avenues. It's about expanding the way we relate and the way we emotionally connect and the intimacy. And I don't mean just like physical or sexual intimacy, like the intimacy to be completely open and authentic and vulnerable with these people and these relationships in our lives. And we're already seeing a world where families, relationships, work relationships are getting divided over this great divide that we happen to be in, over something that has nothing to do with health whatsoever. But of course, some people still do believe that. And I think Venus also trine Neptune is a level of compassion for people that have lost control, people that don't have control over their physical soul, in a lot of ways, like their vessel and how it navigates life right now. And same goes, maybe for us, maybe we're not on the right side. I don't want to be the guru. I don't want to say that this is the way, because I don't think we know. I think the only way to get through this is to follow where your soul and your spirit is guiding you. And that can be different for everybody. So if you're here with me and we're talking about the levels of society right now and where it looks like there's a lot of manipulation and what things are really about and these deeper layers that are going on behind the scenes, our souls have called us to see that as truth. Whether it is or not, we're going to find out very soon, whether it's this week or into the beginning of next year. But everything's about to really come to a headway here. As we're getting ready to see the node shift at the end of the year, all these planets start popping off direct. I mean, we're going to start to see some big progression forward. We're slightly in a vulnerable state now for things to start coming out, and we're going to have to use our discernment and trust that we are being guided in the right direction. All of us. And this doesn't matter what side you're on of anything, whether it's politics or the thing everybody's scared of dying from in the world right now. It's not, it's not always about that. This is about believing in the integration that you've already come to. This almost like, in a lot of ways, it's perfected form. And that just came into my mind from human design, the channel of perfected form. We are coming into a perfected form. Most of us, I don't want to say most, so many people have evolved to this state right now for a purpose, for a reason. And it's really to use this energy to get in, to feel comfortable within, to understand on a deeper internal level that everything that you've done up to this point was meant to be, like I mentioned before, and that you want to keep trusting that. It's taken you this far. How do you feel? Do you feel good when you wake up? Do you feel happy? Do you feel like the universe has your back? If so, then you're doing everything you need to do. You're doing everything right in this time to at least live an enjoyable life. Because so many people are so scared to live right now. Fear is the number one killer right now. So if you're not living in fear and you're living in truth, because the opposite of fear is really truth, it is that light, because truth is going to shine light on fear and expose it for what it is, an emotion that helps us grow. So it's okay to be in fear because it helps us grow. But we got to transmute that. And that's part of Scorpio and how Scorpio can bring about fear into our lives. But it's how we take that, transmute it, and grow from it. Now we're going to see a lot in opposition to Chiron this week. In Aries at 10 degrees retrograde, we're going to see Mars oppose it and the Sun finish off in an opposition on Sunday. We do not want to, be so hard on ourselves or so judgmental of ourselves or others and not, realize how much wisdom we have. Everybody watching this channel right now is here to be a guide, whether it's on the internet, whether it's in your personal life, in your community, with your relationships, your family, but just by holding that truth and that warrior essence within you to keep pushing forward with what you know is true in your soul is so powerful. So many of us have transmuted our Chiron of this wound in our lives about our identification, about our direction, the definition of who we are and what we're here to do. And we're becoming this guide of showing people it's okay to be strong. It's okay to be a warrior. It's okay to have definition of yourself and to trust that definition and to identify with it and keep, blazing the trail forward here. We're all blazing new trails. We're renegades, revolutionaries, every single one of us. And this is a beautiful week and a beautiful energy to embrace that renegade, within you and to keep blazing new trails, because it's not about just staying stagnant. It's not about the old world or going back to that. That's never going to exist again. We got to be renegades and revolutionaries for the new way forward that is beautiful, that is just, that has balance, because we've been living in a society that has zero balance, and it's very authoritarian right now, which shows the lack of balance on a global scale. Balance and harmony does not coexist with one group of people telling everybody what they need to do to live their life or to be safe. But yet they want people to be safe, and they're doing everything for health, but yet they'll shoot you with rubber bullets in the streets in Australia. Do you think they really care about keeping you safe if they're willing to shoot you in the streets just for And I granted, I know they're having protests, but they have to fight for that. They're in a stage that this is what the United States had to go through. It's very Boston Tea Party, Boston Massacre stuff that's kind of going on in Australia if you think about it. So they are in their revolution, and in a lot of ways America is too. And we got to remember how strong we are. You know, we got to relate that. And it's how we relate our strength and hold our line of where we've been guided that this week brings a lot of power and a lot of beauty into our lives through so much inner resolution and inner, you know, it's resolution of karma. This is a powerful week. Because of course next week we're going to see Pluto pop direct and Saturn's right behind. So we're going to get to see some things start progressing, but this is as important of a week as it gets to, you know what, if you need to slow down, to integrate and to get yourself ready and to prepare yourself and to love yourself and to know that you're here to be a guide in some way. It doesn't, I don't know how it's meant to look. It's meant to look different for everybody. But you have to know that and own that authority within you to get the most harmony. And this is that kind of a week where so much of the transformation is taking place as we reconfigure so much about what we've done to reach this place and what we're going to do with what we've learned and how we're going to put that truth out there to others and relate it. And of course it is Libra season, so relating is everything. And it's important that love is everything. And, you know, it's hard to look out in the world and see so many people, bitter and hateful towards one another. It's very sad to see, but it's for a purpose, because you get a good look at, like, is that the life that you want to live? Is that what makes you happy or brings, balance into your life? Or do we have to figure out ways to stand in our firmness of our direction while still being able to relate, while still being able to accept another side? It's less subjective, although there is a lot of subjectivity that we're going on an internal basis. It's about peeling back to and getting into that objective, big picture view, especially with the Aquarius energy of, like, yep, everybody's where they need to be. We're progressing as we're meant to. There's a bigger plan. There's a higher order. We might not have full control, but we do have control over ourselves and what we do and the choices we make and how we love ourselves and how we express and share that love with others when needed, or always. Even if there's a disagreement, we don't have to take that. We might get upset. We're all human. But you know what? We also have choices. We can walk away and hold our high ground, or take a next step in life that is going to, bring some sort of order to any sort of chaos, which could look a lot of different ways. But there's a lot of beauty that's transforming into our life. And I like the sextile to Pluto with Venus. It's a very Venusian week, especially with Libra season and the aspects that Venus has gone through with squares to Saturn, opposition to Uranus. We've had to relate in completely different ways, and we've been reconfiguring our depth of what is intimate, what is, how do we receive too? Venus also it teaches us how to receive and how to merge with people that see your inner power, that see your emotional depth. And it takes things to a much deeper level, but we have to also not obsess over what isn't working out. And especially with the sextile to Pluto, it's like, definitely brings up some money stuff, but not in the most negative of ways. Although the square to Jupiter could definitely blow up some money situations in society, I would say. But the Pluto aspect is helping us really, really get down into the depth of not only our own heart and our relationship to ourself and how we integrate these energies and find sort of deep emotional courage and desire of how we're going to build moving forward, but also what isn't working. And I think that it's going to make that very true and very apparent of what isn't working moving forward. What isn't working for your higher achievements or your destiny in life. And we have to be really honest with ourselves. We have to really be, and not only be honest, but trust in that feeling and that deep desire of what's going to bring more beauty into our lives, and be able to let things go. We have to be able to let things go. If things aren't showing up or working out, and they're just making us feel wounded or not helping us feel like a guide or helping us see our evolution and our growth, we just got to let those things go. There's a reason that they're making you feel that way. One, it could be because you need to make a choice and grow within yourself for something better. And that involves a transmutation and making the change necessary to get out of what is suppressing you, or to get out of what is trying to manipulate you in life, that's not giving you the ultimate value that you deserve. Or two, helping us like draw the line. Like a lot of Scorpio too is like drawing the line. Like we got to have, boundaries too. Saturn, of course, is boundaries and restrictions. But I think Scorpio, energy is also about that, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me in this way or make me feel this way anymore. Like I'm taking my power back for what's going to help me feel beautiful. What's going to help me merge with people that want to help me receive the energy that I should be receiving right now. So I do like this week. I think it's very interesting having so many retrogrades. It's going to be, it has a weird energy to it because we're clearing things out as we reintegrate into really it's a new kind of era of relationships. And that's our relationship to so many things. Yes, of course, intimate relationships or loving relationships with like sexual partners, sure. But, this is relationships with family, relationships with friends, communities, jobs. This is a big time energy. And of course, Mars and the sun are going to get very close together. They won't meet until the sun comes to 13 degrees with Mars, and we also get a new moon, which will be on the 6th too, which is wild because we get that new moon on the 6th and then Pluto comes direct. So just hours after that new moon, there is some really powerful relationship dynamics that need to be gotten into and investigated and even blown up with the square to Jupiter so that they can be completely understood about the beauty and the harmony in whatever it is that you're looking for. Because if you're not getting equal return on your investments in life, energetically, not just, monetarily investments, but like energetic investments, then there's no balance. And that's what we're really searching for in this time. And that's what's going to bring the ultimate beauty in. So it's a very important week to trust your inner authority, to trust your gut, to trust that God brought you to this place to see whatever truth that you see right now for a reason. And as long as it makes you happy and you feel complete and connected, that you're on the right path. No matter what shows up in your life, you're going to get through it. You're going to have it understood. And this might be one of those weeks where it just feels like, is anything going to work? Yes, it will. But not if you're forcing yourself into things that you don't want to do or that don't bring you happiness or love in some way, shape, or form with your connection to the universe and God. So we got to be careful about where we're forcing ourselves, and if it's not backed with love, and it doesn't feel that deeper calling, then it's showing up for a reason, and we have to, be very honest and truthful with ourselves. Let's see what the card is for the week. Six of Swords in reverse. Yeah, it's not one of those weeks that like we're gonna feel like a lot of things are just going and progressing. Maybe they will for some people, but it's like, let's make sure that where we're going is where Spirit's taking us, and that it has some sort of like deeper understanding. If we're just gonna like just bail and go to something right now, but it's not, there isn't like this push or it's like the current, because they are traveling on the water. Like we got to let God kind of direct us. And if God's pushing you in that direction, it has purpose. If you're just going against the current and you're getting tired, it's time to rethink maybe that direction in life. I got the devil card reversed. Yeah, we're breaking chains here. We're getting out of situations that are manipulating us through this integration. And maybe it's not by just running away from problems. It's about really communicating and expressing these problems so that we can get ourselves out of this, like, we're just bound up in some sense of like maybe security or some sense of what society wants us to believe. This is about just, no, trusting that you're going in the right direction from spirit, not going against the current, and breaking out of what it is that's holding you and keeping you manipulated or stuck in some just cycle and some pattern that it's time to be broken out of. And the overall is the Four of Wands upright. This week can bring a lot of celebration when we break out, when we reintegrate, when we become a renegade for what's going to bring us the celebration in life. This of course could be the marriage card. We want to marry ourselves to people that see the depth within us. That's where the best connections are going to be. That's where the heart can, laugh and sing with joy and excitement in life right now. If we're having to force things or not be in our truth, then we're just going to follow these same sort of rules and restrictions that are keeping us bound to fear. And we're pushing in directions that don't feel divinely guided. There's not going to be a whole bunch of celebration. So we got to break out of those things. And the overall is that there's celebration if you trust and do things different and break out of any restraints that are keeping you from happiness and love and excitement. We can all dance and sing and rejoice in our own individual growth and what we have transmuted to get to this place, to live in excitement, to live in joy, and to live in happiness through chaos. And it's a revolution, but that doesn't mean that it has to be anything in life that, I don't believe God brought us here just to live or have consciousness come to this place to just have it be like, blah, this sucks. Like, no, there is fun and beauty out there. It's just going to be in different ways, and we have to look deep within ourselves to realize, like, can we let go of some things in life that, were they just a program to begin with? Since we're reprogramming and reintegrating our body and our vessel and our system this week for something new, that's probably going to bring more excitement. We have to remember that there is happiness out there as long as we're really trusting our gut and our psychic abilities to make beauty happen, to make the aesthetic of life that we want to manifest happen. We're becoming amazing manifestors. I see it all the time. People are manifesting at will right now in their own unique ways. So we have to keep trusting in that. And the more we keep our spirits up and have a good time and not get manipulated and not get deceived in life, then the goodness is right here. It's right here for us to take, and we can taste it and we can feel it. We're right there. I love you all so much. I hope you have a beautiful week. Hope you enjoyed this little channeled forecast for you, and I will see you, of course, for all the dailies, and I'm going to film the tarot show after this, so it'll be up soon too. I love you all very much, and I will see you very soon. Take care. Much love. Peace.